Sony Michel or Rob Gronkowski. And their record is now 3-4 and 1/3 in their division. Head coach Mike McCarthy, in an effort to say something so obvious, admitted that if the team has any shot of the playoffs, they'll have to play much better in the second half of the year.
We improved as a football team in the last 2 weeks, but you have to play your best football coming down the stretch, and that's clearly been evident the last 2 weeks. We're not playing to the level we need to play in the fourth quarter, and that'll be a big part of our focus this week. We're very transparent about self-improvement, and I think it has to start with the head coach and then the play callers and then the decision makers. But at the end of the day, it comes down to football. Players have to make plays; they got to execute, and that's the reality of it.
All right, Bart, looking at who the Packers have right now, the way this team, what you saw on Sunday and the way this team is currently constructed, do they have what it takes and the personnel to make a push in the second half?
I think they do. I think they do. When you look at it, first of all, no stuff Sherlock for McCarthy. Like, come on, way to state the obvious. You can't get that time of my life back. Right. But, when you look at their schedule, they got Arizona, they got the Falcons, they got the Bears, the Jets.
And then the Lions. The last 5 games are winnable.
Right. They're very winnable games, but it all depends on how well Minnesota is going to continue to play. If Minnesota continues to run away with the division, I'm starting to look at the NFC South, and it's looking like Carolina is going to be one of the wild cards. And now, look out, the Atlanta Falcons are starting to figure out how to play and make adjustments without a tremendous defense. So it's going to be tough to get that last wild card spot. But whenever you got the best quarterback in the game, you have a chance. And I thought they had an opportunity to beat the Patriots after that fumble really deflated them. They had an opportunity to go ahead and then put the pressure back on the Patriots and make them try and keep pace. But the bigger tragedy is that with Mike McCarthy, that seat has to be hot by now because they got rid of the general manager last year. They're starting to spend money. But then, when you have the best quarterback in the game and you're not consistently in the AFC Championship, you're not in the divisional round, then somebody's doing something wrong because the hardest thing to get is the quarterback. And they can't find a way to build around him. Now, I understand he takes a big piece of the pie, probably over 30% of the pie being the highest paid player in the game. But sometimes you have to get a fresh voice in there. Sometimes the message gets stale. And I wonder if they're really being able to really listen to what he's saying in that locker room anymore. Has he lost the locker room?
Yeah, and now it's just easy to say, yes, if they play better. Yeah, he gives the old coach stuff, of course. But playing better down the stretch. And this is what I've just been watching a lot of games and just talking to people around the league. And I know the rules change and the game is a little bit different. But, man, the month of November and December, you know what it really amounts to? Who do I believe can coach up their guys regardless, get over their injuries, their younger players get better, they're not rookies in November, in December, or they come up with some type of game plan a lot like New England. I know people get tired of hearing it, but
they're the standard.
They should be the standard because there's a lot of ways I use them as examples, and their team is going to be better in November and December. The reason why I don't believe they're contenders and everything is because I don't believe in Mike McCarthy. I don't believe he's going to take that young group of wide receivers, that young running back who fumbled, Aaron Jones, and build confidence in them or come up with a game plan that will get this team better down the stretch. They haven't shown it. It's either is Aaron Rodgers healthy or is Aaron Rodgers not healthy. Now, with a new defensive philosophy, a lot of younger players, young wide receivers, it's the responsibility of the coaching staff to get these guys better. Just like in Oakland, it's John Gruden's responsibility to be able to coach those guys up. Then you see Sean Payton coaching his guys up, Ron Rivera coaching his guys up. Mike Zimmer, what did he say? This team is playing now at this point the way I envisioned them. So, Mike McCarthy, a lot of this is on you, and you're right, Bart. By the time, at this point, with having Aaron Rodgers, there should be questions about should he continue with his program there in Green Bay, Nick?
A Super Bowl does not make you a great coach. That is, we've started to recognize this with players. We've started to recognize, you know what? Phillip Rivers has had a great career.
Great.
I know he's never been to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He has been awesome. Like
He's the best out of that bunch.
Big Ben, I would argue, but fine. What he is in, I think he's better than Eli, and Eli's got 2 of them. But regardless,
well, this is the thing let's do this with Phillip Rivers. We know how many Super Bowls Big Ben went to with Pittsburgh. We know that first Super Bowl they carried him. They carried him on their back.
If they flipped him, what would have happened? Sure,
they would have went to at least 3.
Yeah, they wouldn't be any worse. And so I'm going to bring up Kyle Shanahan. I don't know if Kyle Shanahan will ever make a Super Bowl in San Francisco. That team is not talented. I don't know that I really believe in Jimmy Garoppolo that much, particularly coming off the ACL, but I know he's an excellent coach. I know it. I watched what he let Nick Mullins do with a week of prep. Some guys, I can just see it. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if Doug Peterson's a great coach. I know they had a great season. I know they had a great run.
Great assistance.
A great assistance. There's a lot of things going on. Now, certainly, Ron Rivera, he's been to a Super Bowl. I don't know if and when he'll go back. I know he's an excellent head coach.
Yes.
Mike McCarthy has lived off that early Super Bowl.
Right.
He's a Super Bowl champion coach. But now we've got nearly a decade of data post-Super Bowl to say, is he, forget being a force multiplier, helping you? Is he a force divider? Is he subtracting from the team's ability? Now, to your point about the Packers, they get Seattle, they get Atlanta, they get Chicago, the teams that could be all competing for that last wild card spot. So it is in front of them. They do, in an odd way, almost control their own destiny moving forward. But notice one thing you're not hearing out of Aaron Rodgers this year. RELAX. He ain't telling them to relax. He felt a few years ago when he said that, listen, we're better than our record says. I'm playing as well as I've ever played. I know who we have coming up. We'll be fine. He knows how bad they've been on the road. He knows how young they are at key spots. He knows that even if he continues to play great, it might not be enough this year.
See, I thought they were going to go all in. You talk about a team that has 2 first-round draft picks next year. I thought they were, like, in case of emergency, break glass, go make a move for Le'Veon or LaShawn McCoy so that they can get, some instant results. We saw a lot of teams go out, rather the Rams, who was undefeated, go out and make a move and identify that they didn't have the personnel that they needed to win the Super Bowl. When you have Aaron Rodgers, the goal is to win the Super Bowl. It's other teams that's around the league that's just trying to build their team up to be a contender, to try and improve their program, to get everybody in their locker room to buy in. When you have the best player in the game, every team says, it's Super Bowl or bust. When you have Aaron Rodgers, listen, I pray to God that I can get a guy like that. Hoping that you had a quarterback. Because when you have a guy like that, you have a chance because he has the ball in his hands 70 times a game. 50 of them going to be dynamic plays and be the right plays. And all you got to do is make sure that you carry your weight on the defensive side.
How many teams spend all off season having all the pieces in place and just waiting for that one quarterback?
And every team, Jenna, in the league this year that has a great quarterback is a Super Bowl contender. Except for the Seahawks, who were there. Now they're staying afloat. Right. The Seahawks, we knew this would be a step back year. And the Packers, who might not make the playoffs. The Saints have a great quarterback, contender. Panthers, Patriots, Chargers, go down the list. Steelers, all of them are Super Bowl contenders. We're here talking, can the Packers get to 9-6-1 and steal a playoff?
And how much will they regret it if they don't put those pieces in place while they have a healthy Aaron Rodgers in his prime? All right, got to take a break. Bart, stick around. Coming up.
Thank you.
Our big change is coming to Dallas. That's next on First Things First.
Ooh, I know you're going to be spicy on this one. Hey, you can't be yelling on this show like you was